Well, I thought the dolls might enjoy some cake pops with a Valentine's theme. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy these are to make. All right, off camera, I did a little bit of preparation work so that we'd be ready to make our cake pops this morning. Now, we did make cake pops for Christmas a year or so ago, more than a year ago probably. I will put a link to that video on the end card of this video. It goes into a little more detail. We're going to do things slightly different this time, simply because I want to show you some different things, but some things are the same. So I made the sticks that we're going to use. These are round toothpicks that I have painted white. It's okay if they're not perfectly painted. They just need to not look like wood. And I've cut them to 2 inches long. I have this little drying rack or baking rack that I made. It's just a piece of lumber that was a piece of scrap wood that I had. I drilled holes in it, and then I glued a piece of wood on the bottom so that I've got a place once the cake pops are put onto their sticks. They'll sit in this and they can be baked in here and put on here when we are decorating them. So that I'm going to set to the side. I also made some little Jimmy sprinkles. These are just little tiny snakes of clay that are cut really, really short and baked for 5 minutes, and then I put them in this little dish. We're going to use those when we decorate. I also made some little sequin type sprinkles. These are little tiny balls of clay that I just smushed with my finger and baked again for 5 minutes. It's okay if these don't cure all the way through at this point. They'll cure all the way through when we put them on with our liquid clay mixture and bake them again to cure that. So those I'm going to set to the side in a safe place so they don't spill while I'm making the cake pops. Now I have 4 colors of clay. I'm not going to do all of these on camera. I'll do a couple and then I'll turn the camera off and do the rest off camera. And like I said, more of this, some of these things you can go over and look probably more detail in the other video than I'm going to go into today. So I have a pink. I think with the exception of the brown, I think these 3 colors, all the other colors, I think are Sculpey 3. I have ballerina pink, I have a white, and I have red hot red. The chocolate color is what's left from making the chocolate candies a couple of weeks ago. That's Primo in burnt umber mixed with some translucent. I like to mix browns with translucent. Number one, this clay was very, very crumbly, so it softened it up a bit so I could work with it better. Also, it makes it not quite so chalky looking. Brown sometimes can look kind of chalky. So can some of the other dark colors. So I'm going to use the pink first because the pink is dark enough you guys can see it, but it's not so dark. It's not a color that's going to stain my fingers too badly. I'll do the red absolutely last. Oh, I also have some liquid clay here, and I am going to, I'll probably just put a little bit out on my tray. This is white liquid Sculpey because that's what I've got. And we're going to use more of this later, if I can get it to come out. There we go. We don't need much now. Right now, I just need enough that I can dip my sticks into it to help them glue into my cake pops. So I'm going to roll this out into a nice snake. The Sculpey 3 doesn't take a lot of conditioning. So it's a really quick clay to use. And what I'm looking for is a snake that's about 3/8 of an inch in diameter. I love that this is a drill gauge that I picked up at Home Depot. This one is metal. I see that now the ones I find online are all plastic, but it's a really handy tool. It's a really accurate measurement, and you can check the size of your cane that you're making with it very easily. So now I'm going to take this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, cake pops in real life would not be perfect because they would be, unless you're using a mold, they're going to be handmade. Now I'm going to cut one of these pieces, 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to line this up with my ruler. And this is 3/8 of an inch. Now I can use, I've got a little bit longer, so let's cut off a little bit more. Like I said, they don't have to be perfect. Okay, looks like that's how many I'll get. I'm going to roll a ball. Try and get your ball nice and smooth. Roll it in your hands. If it's sticking to your hands, put some cornstarch on your hands to make sure that it doesn't stick. Dip the pointed end of your toothpick into the liquid clay and poke it in. The liquid clay acts as a glue. I'm going to try and wipe off all of that I can and kind of squeeze this up against my ball. My hands must be a little bit dirty. I handled the brown clay and I can see a little bit of that on there, but that's okay. We'll cover it up with our decorations. I'll do another couple on camera and then I'm going to repeat that same process with the brown, the white, and the red. Whenever I'm using red clay, I use red clay last because red clay gets all over your hands, it gets all over your tools. I'll need to do a thorough cleaning of my work surface and my hands, and I can do that while this is baking. So I'm going to put this on its toothpick and put it in there. Once I have all of them on here, I'm going to bake these for 10 minutes at the recommended temperature for my clay, and I'm going to let them come back down to room temperature, and then I'll come back and we can move on to decorating. So I'll be back then. All right, I made four cake pops of each color, and I've just got them stuck in this shot glass to keep them corralled. I've got my holder off to the side, and what I have here is some liquid clay mixed with some oil paints. And here are my baked off samples. So first off, I wanted to check the white liquid clay by itself against white with white paint in it. And I do prefer, I don't know the camera's picking it up, but it does make it a crisper white. I have two colors of pink and I have a red. So for the white, I mixed in some titanium white in with the white liquid clay. For the deeper pink, I have rose madder, oil paint, and titanium white, which I mixed together and mixed with the white liquid clay. Then I mixed more white into that mixture to make this color. This red is scarlet red with a little bit of rose madder because scarlet turns very orange, which you can see even here. It is more orange than the sample, but it's, oops, try getting that all the way on camera, but it is acceptable. I do recommend that you do bake off little samples of your colors, especially if you're not used to doing this process. Because a couple of things. Number one, you want to check your color because they can shift when they bake. Number two, if you're not used to doing this, if you put too much oil paint in, these won't cure when you bake them. They'll remain sticky and soft and yucky. So you can check that out. Bake it for 10 minutes at the recommended temperature, and then check it to make sure it's nice and dry, it's nice and cured. It's not soft, it's not sticky. So I double checked all of that on these, so now this can just be thrown away. I don't need that anymore. So I'm going to decorate a couple of cake pops, probably one or two of each color, and then I'll turn the camera off and I will finish up off camera and come back and show you what I've got. So I've got my sprinkles that I showed you earlier. I've got my liquid clays, and I also have some no-hole beads. I have some red ones, and I have this kind of purpley pink color. So, and I've got my cell phone pulled up with some photos of some real cake pops on it. So let's see, let's start with, use a dotting tool. Let's just take some white and let's just draw some lines. And I like using the dotting tool, but you can use a toothpick if you don't have a dotting tool. These dotting tools were really super inexpensive, and if you're going to do a lot of doll foods, I recommend looking for some. The ones I got on eBay. They came out of China. They took 6 weeks to get to me, but they were like I want to say $1.29 for the set of, I want to say 5 of them. So they're a really inexpensive item, and they work really well for doing a lot of this kind of work. And I think this one I'm just going to do that with. Let's take a pink one and let's put a bunch of dots on. Try not to stick my arm in the paint, in the liquid clay, while I'm showing you what I'm doing here. I'm going to put some dots. And you could use any color of liquid clay for this. I'm just going to use some white, because then, and I want it to look rather random. All right, now I have a piece of dry raw spaghetti. And I'm going to get the end of it wet. It just needs to be barely damp. And it makes the perfect tool for picking up really lightweight objects. Oops, I had two there. Okay, put that one there. There's lots of different cake pops online that you can look at if you need ideas. And this liquid clay will act as a glue. It will help to hold these on. And then we are going to coat these with a clear finish, just to make sure everything stays put. Oops. I'm going to break off the end of that. All right, let's get a white one. This one I'm actually going to use this toothpick because I'm going to kind of spread this. It doesn't have to be even. And remember, this will stay liquid until you run it in the oven. So if you put it in a closed container, it will keep for a while. I'm not sure how long. I don't know how long it would take the oil paint to cure. I'm going to actually take the lid all the way off. And there we go. We have lots of little sprinkles on there. So I am going to put the lid back on this each time because I don't want that to, what am I doing? To get too messy. All right. Let's take some of this. And you could do any design you want. So I am going to go ahead and turn the camera off. I'm going to decorate the rest of these. Now I'm only going to put, I have 16 altogether, so I'm going to put about probably 6 at a time on the holder because I don't want to overcrowd it where they touch each other. And I'll bake them off and then come back and work on the next batch. So when I get all of these decorated and they have all cooled to room temperature, I will come back and we can start putting a clear finish on these. So I'll see you then. All right, these are all baked and cooled off, so I'm going to put them over here to the side and I'm going to start coating them with some Mod Podge. What I've got is matte Mod Podge. matte because we don't want to make these super shiny. We do want to give them a little bit of a gloss. Mainly, we want to hold on any of our sprinkles and stuff that we put on. So I've got my little holder here, and I've got a really soft brush. That's the key here, so you don't dislodge anything. And I really recommend pouring the Mod Podge out and doing this that way rather than trying to dip out of the container, because if you would pick up any of these sprinkles off of one of these, you might get them into your Mod Podge and they could show up in a project where you don't want them. So once again, we are going to put on just a fairly thin coat. It's not as important with the matte as it is with gloss, but even matte, I don't want a very heavy coat. Put them somewhere where they can sit not touching each other and allow them to dry. Once these are all finished and dried, I'll come back and we will look at all of them and see how they look with the dolls. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, they are all Mod Podged and dried, and I think they turned out really cute. I tried to do at least a little something different in each one, and I think they are gonna look really cute. I made a little kind of Valentine mug, and you'll see photos both on the beginning of the video and then on the thumbnail, and also I'll have photos over on the blog post. The link is always in the description box. So let's put all of these in the mug. I'll try to hold it sideways so you can kind of see it, and then I'll bring the doll's hand over here so you can see what one of these looks like with her. Whoopsie. I think I've got too many for the mug. That's okay. Now, if you want to display these in the mug, you could put some weight in here in the bottom of it, and then it would stand up a little better. There you go. We've got a whole mug full of cake pops for Valentine's Day. It looks like the dolls can have a Valentine's party. And you can see they look pretty good. Good sizing. I think the dolls are going to love these. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button. Leave me a comment. That really helps the video get seen by more people, and it will help the channel to grow better, which is one of my goals for this new year. If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you to hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.